Hi and welcome. I'm trying to learn history. Today the Treaty of Amiens. And after we've done that, we're gonna do neckstretching. And if you participate in the neckstretching, then it's at your own risk. And we're talking about a war, and this is part 10 or whatever. Now, the breakdown of this Treaty of Amiens, which made for 1 year pause in the fighting in Europe between France and its allies, and mostly Britain and its allies. Bonaparte also took advantage during the treaty, the treaty is lasting. Bonaparte also took advantage of the loosening of a British blockade of French ports to organize and dispatch a naval expedition to regain control over revolutionary Haiti and to occupy French Louisiana. Napoleon's goal of a North American empire collapsed with the failure of his army in Haiti, so he gave it up and sold the Louisiana territory to the United States. Napoleon used the interlude, so this treaty, while it's now lasting, used the interlude for major internal reforms, such as the promulgation of a new legal system under the Napoleonic Code, making peace with the Vatican by the Concordat, and issuing a new constitution that gave him lifetime control. France made territorial gains in Switzerland and Italy. However, Napoleon's goal of a North American empire collapsed with the failure of his army in Haiti, so he gave it up and sold the Louisiana territory to the United States. Bonaparte took advantage of the loosening of a British blockade of French ports to organize and dispatch a naval expedition to regain control over revolutionary Haiti and to occupy French Louisiana. Those moves were not in violation of the treaty, were perceived by the British as a willingness by Bonaparte to threaten them on a global stage. Britain refused to remove troops from Egypt or Malta, as agreed upon in the treaty. Bonaparte formally protested the continuing British occupation and, in January 1803, published a report by Horace Sebastini that included observations on the ease with which France might capture Egypt, alarming most of the European powers. Okay, Napoleon led through Horace Sebastien an observation or a report bring out in which it was stated how easy it would be for France to capture Egypt from Britain, I think. And that alarmed many European powers. In an interview in February 1803 with Lord Whitworth, Britain's French ambassador, Bonaparte threatened war if Malta was not evacuated, and implied that he could have already retaken Egypt. The ambassador of Britain for France was interviewing Lord Whitworth. And that's very strange. And where Lord Whitworth is a British name. Lord Whitworth is a British ambassador for France. It's just written with comma, not with brackets. In an interview in February 1803 with Lord Whitworth, Britain's French ambassador, Bonaparte threatened war if Malta was not evacuated and implied that he could have already retaken Egypt. The exchange left Whitworth feeling he was given an ultimatum. In a public meeting with a group of diplomats the following month, Bonaparte again pressed Whitworth, implying that the British wanted war since they were not upholding their treaty obligations. The Russian ambassador, Arkady Ivanovich Morkov, reported the encounter back to St. Petersburg in stark terms. The implicit and explicit threats contained in the exchange may have played a role in Russia's eventual entry into the Third Coalition. I'm so confused with line breaks, I can't keep my eyes straight. I can't pay attention, I don't know what to read about. Markov also reported rumors that Bonaparte would seize Hamburg as well as Hanover if war was renewed. Although Alexander wanted to avoid war, that news apparently forced his hand. He began collecting troops on the Baltic coast in late March. The Russian foreign minister wrote of the situation, the intention already expressed by the First Council of striking blows against England where he can, and under this pretext of sending his troops into Hanover and northern Germany, entirely transforms the nature of his war as it relates to our interests and obligations. When France moved to occupy Switzerland, the British had issued orders to not return Cape Colony to the Batavian Republic as stipulated in the Treaty of Amiens, only to countermand them when the Swiss failed to resist. In March 1803, the Addington Ministry received notice that Cape Colony had been reoccupied by the military, and it promptly ordered military preparations to guard against possible French retaliation for the breach of the treaty. They claimed that hostile French preparations had forced France, had forced them into that action and that they were engaged in serious negotiations. The ministry then issued a sudden ultimatum to France demanding an evacuation of Holland and Switzerland and British control of Malta for 10 years. The exchange prompted an exodus of foreigners from France, and Bonaparte quickly sold Louisiana to the United States to prevent its capture by Britain. Bonaparte made every concession that could be considered as demanded or even imposed by the British government, by offering to guarantee the integrity of the Ottoman Empire, place Malta in the hands of a neutral party, and form a convention to satisfy Britain on other issues. His rejection of a British offer involving a 10-year lease of Malta prompted the reactivation of a British blockade of the French coast. Bonaparte, who was not fully prepared to resume the war, made moves designed to show renewed preparations for a French invasion of Britain. Matters reached a diplomatic crisis point when the British rejected the idea of mediation by Tsar Alexander, and on the 10th May ordered Whitworth to withdraw from Paris if the French did not accede to their demands in 36 hours. Last-minute attempts at negotiation by Talleyrand failed, and Whitworth left France on the 30th May. Britain declared war on France the 18th, thus starting the Napoleonic Wars, which would rage in Europe for the following 12 years. Britain gave its official reason for resuming hostilities as France imperialist policies in the West Indies, Italy, and Switzerland. I don't know why I keep looking on the clock. I'm perfectly well in time. Now, I said in the last part of Treaty of Amiens that we're just going to read it to the end, and we're going to read it all in detail. So if you have not understood what I just said, it's not so much a problem. We're going to repeat it all more closely in detail. We just wanted to read through it and to know more broadly what of this is opinion and what is more or less fact, because these are the reasons why the war resumed, and a part of the official reasoning given by these countries. What were the motives now exactly? What were the thinking? That's not so clear. So we wanted to go a little over and look how it's all written, and when you know with the knowledge of what it all is, if you were able to understand it, we're going to go back and read it now all in detail. But not now. Now we're actually at the end of our time. It means in the next part we're going to start with this one long page written of a breakdown, when in detail sentence by sentence. Let's try to really understand every single sentence. If you were here for history, how the Treaty of Amiens, you can go directly to the next part. History, the Treaty of Amiens probably. We will do now the Neckstretching. If you still participate in the Neckstretching, then it's better your own risk. Go ahead and stay with stance, and we do Hydro Tower. Breathe in and reach with the fingertips as far as you can. And again down and reach as far as you can with the fingertips. And reach as far as you can, and again down. Reach as far as you can. And now we're reaching your front and doing circles again. And reach as far as you can. Make it reach as far back as you can. Down. And again. Reach as far as you can. Reach as far as you can. So the next exercise for buzzards. My feet are standing together, arms up to a T, and we're pretending to fly like a buzzard. And on with the next exercise, which is a police officer. We're breathing in with the arms up, and we're breathing out, opening the arms to the side. Breathing in, and out, open to the other side. Breathing in. All the arms down. And now the feet shoulders wide apart, good and stable, and tall up, shoulders back, we're breathing in. And we're breathing out again with the head over to the side. Breathing in. And out, chin down to the cloak. Breathe again in. And out, head up and over to the other side. Breathe again in. And out, chin down to the cloak. Breathe again in. And out, lift the gaze and bring it back into the middle. And again out to one side. And breathe again in. And breathe halfway out. And then bring the head in a circular movement over to the other side. Breathe again in. And breathe halfway out. And then circle the head over to the other side. And back. Now fly. We are having the palms together, the elbows together, and bring the hands up. As far as you can bring it with moderate force. And release again. And let's do it again. And again. And now for pressure-based laser machine exercise. Hands together, breathe in. And out, press in front, and bring also the head down. Again in the middle. And out, again in front, head down. In and down. And the next exercise. Hands shoulder, no, feet standing together. In front of the fingers, we're doing the cashew. Tall up, shoulders back, breathe in. And breathe out, head over to one side. And the chin down to the cloak. Breathe again in. And breathe out and reach with the hands down to the ground. Again in. Head up and over to the other side. Breathe again in. And out, chin down to the clavicle. Breathe again in. And out and pull with the hands down to the ground. And lift the gaze and bring the head back into the middle. Now stretch your fingers. And just find the fingers behind the back. Bring them over to one side. Tall up, shoulders back, breathe in. And breathe out, head over to one side or to the side with the hands. Chin down to the clavicle. Breathe again in. And out, pull the arm in and shoulder down. Again, head up, over to the other side. Also the hands over to the other side, shoulders back, breathe in. And out, chin down to the cloaker, and pull the arm in and shoulder down. Again, lift the gaze, and the head back. And we're going on with the next exercise. One hand behind the back, the other one up. And we're taking the head tall up, and we're bringing it over. Don't pull, just bring it up. Breathe again in. And out, look up to the hand on top. And again. The other hand behind the back, and up, tall up, and bring the head over, don't pull. Breathe again in. And out, look up to the head. And head up. Now the skyhugger, breathe in, lift the arms up. And breathe out, lean back, long arms. Again in. And out and lean back. Again in. Out the arms down and we're doing the eagle swings. Breathe in, lift the arms up. And out the arms down. Lean the arms down. And out and down. Now we're ending with a cactus collecting its stings. Bring the palms to touch and lower the hands down to heart center. That was the next stretching. If you were here for stretching, that was the stretching. That was the next stretching. I thank you very much and until next time.